The look of total surprise on her face said it all. Jamaican swimmer Aaliyah Atkinson made history yesterday when she became the first black woman to win a world title in the pool. She won for the 100-meter breaststroke. Her winning time was 1 minute 2.36 seconds. A very special congratulations to Sister Atkins. Congratulations. Now, as a teenager, Cortney Hicks tipped the scale at 365 pounds.
Yeah.
After almost 20 years of struggling with obesity, she's turned the corner. She now has lost a whopping 200 pounds and is here to share her weight loss journey. Cortney, how are you?
I'm good, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
200 pounds.
Over a span of 20 plus years, yeah.
So it's still 200 pounds.
I know. When I heard you talk about it at the top of the hour, I was like, who is he talking about? and I guess so. So it does sound very dramatic, but it's been a battle over 20 years that I finally won.
Well, and it's important to say 20 years for folks, right? Because in these days and times, when people have all these options of very invasive kind of ways to lose weight, there are all kinds of choices, and one of those choices is the old-fashioned way, which is what you took.
Yeah.
Why was it so important for you to do it the old-fashioned way, pound by pound by pound?
Yeah, well, initially it was bariatric surgery back in the summer of '88. I was going into my senior year, and that's when I tipped the scales at 365. And it was actually my mother, Charlotte, back home in Detroit, who, you know, your parents will go to the ends of the earth to secure their child's future, to make sure they're healthy. At least that's what she did for me. And my father kind of gave her the side eye, but she was inventive enough even back then to find this very new type of invasive surgery that was really on the cusp of bariatric surgery. It wasn't light and fluffy, and it wasn't surrounded by all of the counseling that you have and the follow-up. Went to the doctor, had a consultation, and it was a large cut. There wasn't much, what do you call that, the laparoscopic procedures weren't there just yet. So it was very drastic, but it did what it was supposed to do, and it put me on that path. However, we're talking late teenage years into the 20s. So it did what it was supposed to do. It took me from 365 to 240, and then I was on my way to college, Michigan State University, and so I stayed there, and I really didn't have the maturity to then begin to allow that type of surgery to do what it was supposed to do after you lose the initial 100. So that's when I got into the complications with nutrition and anemia. And it wasn't until later on in the 30s, when you start to mature a little bit and realize that this is your life and you're responsible for it, that you take the proper procedures and seek out the proper diets and lifestyle changes to, you know, redirect,
and
your
what was
life.
The tipping point for you? What was the tipping point that said, okay, not just I know I need to do this differently, but here's how I do it?
Yeah, the tipping point for me is when I find, because the childhood, you didn't find wrappers and chicken bones in my bedroom or anything like that. I had a very happy childhood. My dad came from nothing. He wanted us to have what he didn't have and then some. So our house was the Kool-Aid house, eat, drink, and be merry. It wasn't until I lost him maybe about 10 years later, 10 years outside of that initial, what we called a gastroplasty, that I linked the eating with the emotions. And I had went from 240, maintained for years, and went up to 278. So it was that point during that tragedy that I made the connection that, okay, at this point, this eating is emotional. And if I make a decision to redirect, I can definitely change the course of my physical health. But it's very important to always check in with what's going on the inside, because that's the only way you're going to be truly convicted to make the changes.
And did you do that by yourself, or did you have help with that?
I would say pretty much by myself, me and my God and my spiritual values and constitution. It took a while, lots of ups and downs, because you had the 278, 365, 240, 278, 235, 215, back up to 265 by the time I had my health crisis. And again, we're talking 20 years, so. Yeah.
And so was this, because I have family and friends who are on this weight loss roller coaster. And I find that when you're surrounded by people who encourage you, the trail is a lot easier. Who was your support network? You talked a little bit about your family.
Yeah.
But did you find people that would diet with you, create healthy diet? Did you find people that would work out with you? What was the path for you to figure out how to not be on this thing by yourself?
Well, by the time I got to that point, I was really, it wasn't a lonely journey, but I really knew that it was up to me and it was about me. So it'd be me getting up at 6 in the morning before my radio show to go work out. It was me making the better choices. As far as what really triggered and what really flipped was losing a father to diabetes very suddenly. He was only 52. And not wanting to repeat some of those mistakes, not wanting to carry in that tradition of not being in the best of health to be around for, family and friends. So that was really the big trigger. And at that point, I didn't need anybody to really say, hey, Cortney, you should be doing this or you should be doing that, especially as I began to transition into TV. I didn't want the execs telling me that you had to look a particular way. These are changes that, I came to a resolution that I wanted to make for myself because I want to live as long as possible. I have a grandmother on my mom's side. She's 88 and doing her thing, and I want to live till then and then some. So.
Well, and there's a lot of people out there, whether they want to take off 40 pounds
yes.
or they want to take off 200 pounds,
yes.
that are wondering, how do I do that? What would you say to the young woman who got the surgery now that you didn't know then?
Well, if you follow protocol, if you do what they say to do, now that this whole bariatric thing is a lot more sophisticated, you will and should succeed. However, it's just a tool. It's not going to do the work for you. There's still a lot of work for you to do in regards to food choices, lifestyle, how active you are as far as moving your body.
Resources you recommend for folks?
Absolutely. Wherever you start, wherever hospital or organization you start to actually look into maybe bariatric surgery, or you were just talking earlier segment how big social media is and social media outlets and websites. All you have to do is Google weight loss and tons of organizations and different methods of going about starting your goal will be provided for you. But the key is, like I said just a little earlier, you got to check in on the inside. You got to really check it, and whatever life struggles are showing up in whatever area of your life. For me, it was weight. It could be finances. There's a relation part of your life. There's your career part of your life. So however it's showing up, identify that and check in on the inside, because that's the only way you're going to be convicted and stick with the follow through for whatever to yield the results that you're gonna need or want to see.
Thank you so much, so much. R&B crooner Johnny Gill is back on the scene, and in a big way, you all. He's going to give you the scoop on his new music. Plus, call in to answer our question of the day: will protest have an effect on the 2015 elections? Hit me up with your thoughts at Jeff's Nation or at News One, or on our News One Now Facebook page. It's 44 after the hour. We'll be right back.